Thank you, Meryl, for the introduction, and thanks for the opportunity to go a little deeper with you on generative AI, following Tom's overview and tee-up of this topic. So today I'm going to speak a little bit about the product innovations that we've put in place in the generative AI, in the C3 Generative AI application. And then I'm also going to, after that, invite a few of our partners and collaborators and customers on stage, the United States Air Force, Amazon Web Services, and Forrester, to actually have a panel discussion on how generative AI is transforming business and industry. So with that, let me jump right in. And is this going to work? No? We launched generative AI exactly a year ago at this conference. We launched C3 Generative AI in 2023 at the Transform conference. And it's been an incredible journey up to this point. I did a count yesterday, and we've deployed over 47 customer use cases in generative AI over the last year across industries, across professional services, companies like DLA Piper, Cooley, manufacturing, many use cases here, many customers, Nucor, Pantaleon, Holcim, defense and intelligence, the US intelligence agencies, the Air Force, Missile Defense Agency, and we'll be talking about more with the US Air Force in this session. State and local government, San Mateo County, Riverside County, energy and utilities, folks like Con Edison, Baker Hughes, and then others like Neom and Boston Scientific. So it's been an incredible growth journey for us. And for all of you who are our customers and have placed your trust in us, I want to thank you for the opportunity to serve you, and we look forward to collaborating with you on our product roadmap. For those who are considering us, please come and join us on this journey. It's been an incredible experience to unlock value using these technology sets. Now, the use cases, as Tom mentioned, they're very diverse, very creative across these industries. So just to give you a little bit more feel for that, in professional services, tasks like accelerating due diligence tasks, parsing, reasoning, and authoring S1s. In manufacturing, it's about troubleshooting quality, troubleshooting yield, helping operators actually run machines better, maintain machines better, with improved safety outcomes in manufacturing settings. Defense and intelligence, these are use cases like predictive maintenance on aircraft, reporting on the fly, reporting on readiness levels and on what you can dispatch, doing deep intelligence tasks better. State and local government, this is permits, codes, property appraisals, accelerating those tasks. Energy and utilities, this is work on HR that we've done on top of Workday and ServiceNow, identifying billing issues, meter mismatch issues. And then things like healthcare risk reporting and analysis and streamlining RFP reviews. So there's really a wide range of cases. Some of these sit on top of C3 AI applications. Many of these are standalone. And so generative AI can really transform that human-computer interaction approach and help you get insights faster, more effectively. So let's double-click a little bit more. This is the framework of what we've built, C3 Generative AI, that Tom actually mentioned in his talk. We don't use the LLMs directly. We use the LLMs together with retrieval models, and the retrieval system ensures that the LLMs get only the data that the user is actually able to see. This gives us all the benefits that Tom described: deterministic responses, traceability to ground truth, enterprise access controls fully enforced, no incremental cybersecurity risk, no LLM-caused data leakage, the ability to really suppress and make it hallucination-free, no IP liability exposure because we're not using the models for anything that they've been trained on before this, and then LLM agnostic, take advantage of all of the innovation in this space. What I wanted to do next is actually double-click on this and show you a little bit more of the specific product innovations we put in place and technology innovations to actually enable this. How did we do this? So if I go a little deeper behind this diagram, there's really two main pathways. We think about the world in terms of unstructured data. So this is documents, these are reports, these are PDF files, these are PowerPoint files, text. And those go into a vector store and are embedded and parsed and modeled there. And then there's structured data, all of the other omnimodal data, whether it's telemetry, whether it's radar signatures, whether it's SQL-type relational tables. And those are modeled in the C3 AI world in our object models through the C3 AI type system. And then we also have other concepts like AI/ML models or optimization models or physics-based models. And we also model that in our object models. These all feed into the C3 AI retrieval system, which then interacts with the LLM, and that LLM then interacts with the human to help a human answer questions. So what have we done? What are the highlights of the innovations we put in place over the last 12 months? So on unstructured data, we've done a ton of work to really improve the parsing of data. That means extracting tables, extracting images from data, treating those and understanding those very carefully, understanding sections, subsections, sub-subsections, these passage hierarchies. All of those are innovations we put in place on the unstructured side across data types. And then on the structured side, modeling objects better, thinking about and unifying data in space and time. The core C3 AI platform does this. And then the innovations we put on top of that include all of the documentation to allow the LLMs to route the queries to the right places. And then the C3 AI retrieval system. So here we've done a significant amount of work, things like visualization, charts, and maps. Post-generation source attribution. What does this mean? We don't use the LLM's answer directly. We use the LLM together with the retrieval system, but then we cross-check that entire answer one more time using a completely separate model to make sure that the LLMs are actually giving accurate and truthful answers. AI/ML optimization model, invoking those. So specialized models still have a lot of utility. We want to help you guys take advantage of that, help you invoke those models at the right time. Workflows. So many of the tasks that our customers, operators need to do are very complex multi-step workflows, and we can actually guide operators to do that step by step using these generative AI techniques. Fine-tuned LLMs for structured queries, so using our own C3 AI model for the code generation to get to a structured query better. All of the configurations for data management, all of the configurations for the LLM model management, retrieval system management, tool chain orchestration, image and table reasoning that I alluded to before, a fully integrated math tool, because LLMs are dreadful at math, so you can't rely on them to do any quantitative operation well. Well, we invoke a math tool on the fly to actually help perform a mathematical operation and then give the answer back to an LLM, and then logging and monitoring. So what I wanted to do is actually give you a sense of these innovations in the context of a product demonstration. So I'm going to try to hit each of these points, and I'll try to articulate it in the context of this product that you've already seen, which is the deployment of C3 Generative AI on top of the RSO Panda application. And by the way, this is all synthetic data. There's no classified data, completely unclassified, all made up data, just for the purposes of this demonstration. So there's four main personas I'm going to go through. Each of these folks are interacting with the same application, the same interface. So first, Denise, the maintenance scheduler, then an aircraft maintainer, a commanding officer, and then an IT systems person. So starting with Denise, I'm going to show you three main things in Denise's workflow. Number one, the ability to ask for data and then get it back and visualize it. Way cool. And then she can interact with the visualization. The second thing I'm going to show you is the ability for Denise to basically invoke a smaller AI/ML model on the fly and get the answer back. And the third thing is for Denise to actually take an action concretely just from the generative AI interface. So the first thing she's going to do here is, she's scheduling maintenance. She can ask a question like, which air bases have B-1B aircraft? Show me them on a map. So she's actually directing the system to direct that and actually visualize it on a map. So it retrieves the data, puts it on a map, plots it for me, and now Denise can actually click on this map, interact with the map, understand where these aircraft are. She can now ask a follow-on question to continue her exploration. So with full context, she doesn't have to refer to B-1Bs anymore. She can say, what are the tail numbers for the ones at Ellsworth Air Force Base, sorted by risk score. So here it's invoking not just the data, it's actually invoking the AI/ML model, and it's going to retrieve both and join those for her. So she sees now a chart of aircraft by tail sorted by risk score. And she can also look at it in a grid view, actually download it for her own analysis, her own work. And then she actually notices here that a few of these aircraft have super high risk. There's one that's over 80%. So she can actually copy the name of that tail number, and then she's going to construct a question back, all in natural language. Can you open a case to inspect this aircraft? And hit enter. Well, that's actually going to dynamically, on the fly, invoke an action in the system, create a case for her, give it a case number, and then she can actually then pass that on to her colleagues. She can also give full feedback, as you saw. And there's full logging and monitoring underneath the hood in our application, so this feedback is tracked, so we can continuously retrain and improve the models. And then for many of you, you also have requirements for very rigorous audit trails. We're actually able to keep an audit log of everything that's happened in the system, so you can actually have full traceability. So that's Denise's workflow. Second, I want to move to Sam, the aircraft maintainer. Sam's going to pick up where Denise started, where Denise left. And I'm going to highlight two things in Sam's workflow, Sam's experience. Number one, the ability to walk Sam through a very complex workflow, complex set of steps. And generative AI can interact with him to do that. We call this feature blueprints, where we can actually in context orchestrate reasoning and walk somebody through a procedure. This could also occur on a factory floor, or it could be in the context of a financial review or a due diligence activity. It's very powerful. The second thing I want to show in Sam's experience here is the ability to invoke a math tool on the fly for calculations. So I'm going to just start this demo of Sam's experience right now. So he's going to pick up where Denise left off, and he's now going to ask what are the open alerts for the specific aircraft that he has to inspect. System again constructs a query, hits the database, comes back, and it's also going to invoke the AI/ML model here. There's an open alert for high engine oil consumption. So Sam can also look at the generated query if he so chooses to get confidence that this is actually something that he wants to look at, and he can continue his experience here. So he's going to next ask for contextual information, like how do I actually troubleshoot high oil consumption? What do I need to do? And this might, instead of going to a structured table, goes to an unstructured source. So here, he's able to see that I need to check the engine carefully. I need to replace the fuel pump. I might need to check the engine or overhaul the vacuum pump. So he's able to see a bulleted list of activities, and he sees all the sources behind it through this cross-checking that I described, this post-attribution check. I'm able to see a snippet, click into it, and actually it takes me to the specific payload. And this is page like 430 or something of a 500-page document. So I don't have to flip through this. I get to the exact payload of what I care about to actually triage and troubleshoot this issue. Now I can take it a step further. Not only do I not have to just do it directly, I can ask the system to help me. So Sam says now, walk me through an inspection for this aircraft. And the system has full context on what he's trying to do. It actually finds and retrieves the right workflow for him, and he can actually get that workflow right now. He can click on that workflow, and it's actually going to walk him through the troubleshooting steps. We call this feature blueprints. So Sam's going to click on this, takes him to that workflow page. So now I'm in my blueprints tab on the left-hand side, and this is actually a structured walkthrough where the system is now directing Sam. So it says, thank you for starting this 100-hour inspection checklist. Would you like to get started? If I hit yes, it says the first step is to inspect the engine for oil leaks. Did you find any visual evidence of oil leaks? In this case, Sam's going to say, no, I don't have any visual inspection for oil leaks. Well, the next step is to check the most recent post-flight report to ensure that oil levels are actually above their expected range. And now it's going to walk through an automated checklist. Step one of that automated checklist is it's going to say, according to the flight report, there was an issue with the primary lube oil system. This has a quantity of 10.7 liters at completion of the flight. The case note actually notes that the maintainer had to add a liter of engine oil. And then the primary lube oil system has a capacity of 12 liters. Now a math agent kicks in and does the calculation on the fly that we're at over 90% of capacity, 97% of total capacity, which is way above the recommended level of 80%. So it says, okay, things are fine there. But there was an activity of a maintenance tech actually adding to the primary lube oil system. It also has this record of the aircraft telemetry data, and it goes and retrieves that automatically for Sam of the engine oil pressure. So it's going to go ahead and bring that record back. And not only does it bring back the aircraft telemetry, it brings back the upper and lower control limits. And you can see that it actually is within the UCLs and LCL levels most of the time, but then it drops below the lower control limit at the end. Well, this is troubling, and the system actually detects this, and then it pulls the post-flight report to cross-collaborate this. And in the post-flight report, there's actually a report of lube oil system exhibiting pressure oscillation through the flight, falling below the lower control limit, and this triggers a failover to the backup lube oil system. So basically, it's gone through the steps that an expert maintainer would have gone through to reason about this in the context of this workflow, and guided SAM basically through this procedure. And now what you can do is also create a case automatically, and the system will just directly go ahead and do that for SAM. And now I can go ahead, click on that case, edit that case, modify it if I choose. But basically, he knows exactly what to do. So there's a maintenance case now to replace the primary lube oil system on this B-1B aircraft. So in summary, Sam has been guided through a workflow for what he needs to do. And then there's also in the background all of the math tools, data retrieval tools, AI/ML tools working seamlessly. Okay, so very quickly, I'm just going to cover, because Tom already reviewed the commanding officer type interface where you can ask about readiness levels in UCOM, basically echelon type reporting, on-the-fly reporting. But just to give you a sense of that, so as a commanding officer, I might be interested in analyzing readiness, but I'm also maybe interested in dispatching specific aircraft for specific tasks. And this is very hard without an interactive experience like this, especially because reporting tools are often out of date. So now I can dynamically, on the fly, ask questions like, how many aircraft do I have in total? And this is a real-time view of how many aircraft are actually active. And here I see there's about 1,600 aircraft in total in this environment. How many are active? There's 1,327. So that's a follow-up question that I can ask. As a CO, I might be also interested in how many C5 aircraft are at each base. I get a direct answer for which aircraft are at which base, the count of those in a grid format. I can now look at that in a chart format as well. And now I might want to ask, how many C5 aircraft are actually active in a specific MAJCOM, a major command. And this is on-the-fly kind of slicing and dicing of the data. I see there's 8 in MAJCOM AMC. What are their serial numbers? Now I get to a point where I can actually dispatch an aircraft by serial number for a MAJCOM for a specific task. And again, I can give feedback to the system on an ongoing basis. And then last flow I want to talk about is on the IT side and the system administrator side. So we've been very busy to really make this product very easy to use, no code, all in the UI. And there's many capabilities here for administrator. You want to be able to configure document sources, be able to onboard source directories from places like S3 or Google Cloud Storage or ADLS Gen 2 for Azure. You might want to configure data to onboard structured data, configure models, configure users. So you see those across the top. In this flow, I'm just going to focus on onboarding of structured data because that's our newest feature. We're very excited about it. So what does this mean? I can click this button to add data sources. I see the data sources in my environment, and I'm going to onboard a Postgres data source just for this demo. And everything is in the user interface. I can just give it a name, give it a description. I can, I'll fill out the host IP address. I'll fill out the port. I'm going to give it a username, which is a system user in this case, a Postgres user account. Enter the password for that system user, and then onboard the database. Punch in the database name. The next step is I can just test the connection directly here. Once I've established that connection, by default, the data are going to be virtualized. The connection is good. I'm going to hit next. And now I can start to preview the data. So greatly streamlining the time to onboard these data sets. I can click each table in that data set. I see a preview. I can just check mark the tables I want to bring in. And then once I'm satisfied with what I want to bring in, I just hit the button complete. And now these data sources are basically mapped to the C3 AI system. I can preview the data. So I can click on a demo aircraft table in this example, and I can see the columns. I can understand the data elements. And then I can understand, and review the data sets to get comfort that this is actually what I want to bring in. And then most importantly, there's a tab for schema. When I click that button, I actually see the specific metadata, the unstructured data that are part of this, bringing in this data in, the column names and the table names. And the reason why this is important is now I can edit this metadata to give better sense for the LLMs to actually route the queries to the right places. I want to breeze through a few other capabilities very quickly. Multilingual support. I didn't have a chance to show this before, but now in the RSO context, It's a feature that is available and greatly valuable to our international customers because you can ask questions in any language and get an answer back in the language that you asked in. So here I'm asking a question about machine learning pipelines. I ask it in Italian. I get an answer back in Italian. Well, that's great. I see the sources, by the way, can be in any language as well. I can then ask a follow-up in French, explain it in more detail. I get an answer back in French. And we have a customer in Thailand. So just to show the next piece, I'm going to ask a question here in Thai, and I get an answer back in Thai. And this is dynamic. It's on the fly based on the language that a user actually uses. Advanced image and table content parsing. We're actually extracting tables, treating them as data frames now, extracting images, reading them, and also embedding them in answers. I wanted to give you a sense of that. It's way cool. So I can ask a question like, what were financial results? This is in the context of a financial product, a generative AI use case. So financial results is going to go through, find a 10Q type data set, retrieve that for me, give me a sense of my financial results, let's say over quarters, but then also pull in information from an analyst, from an investor presentation that I've made. And not only pull in the data, it actually reads in the specific text. So in this case, it says that revenue has grown from 1.8 to 2.5 billion dollars in that snippet. So it actually has read it. And then I click it, it takes me to the specific PDF source of this investor presentation. And you can see the system didn't bring the whole PDF in. It specifically just cropped the image that actually had the information that it cared about. Lastly, improvements to metadata. We've done a ton of work in the past to be able to tag documents, but now when I bring in documents and unstructured data, we're doing automatic topic modeling of those and extracting information. This is a wind turbine example, and as each document is getting indexed, you'll see in that gray, it extracts information like Siemens, GE, electrical, mechanical. So these are all concepts that help the retrieval system get the right answer to the customer at the right time. So in summary, what have I shown you? I've shown you generative AI system in terms of the C3 Generative AI product, and specifically the innovations we put in place, from visualizations to post-generation source attribution, the ability to invoke AI/ML models, all of the workflow and reasoning, fine-tuned LLMs running for structured queries, all of the configurations and management, whether data management or retrieval system management, the ability to reason on images, tables, math tools, logging, monitoring. These are all capabilities in the product today. And I would encourage all of you to explore this further with us and help us shape the roadmap. So where I want to go next is to give you a very rough sense of where we're going with the roadmap. Our next big release is in summer of 2024. The focus of that is to improve retrieval augmented generation, so making it easier to set up no-code configurations for end-to-end retrieval pipelines, for high-accuracy pipelines. In the fall of 2024, we're going to focus on developer support. So what this means is we have thousands of configurations in the product today that can be tuned to get higher performance, greater accuracy, more reliability in retrieval performance. And we are introducing an automatic hyperparameter sweep of all of those configs in the fall timeframe. And in the winter timeframe, we want to focus on enabling actions. So not just following a workflow like I showed you in the context of the maintainer, but actually teaching the system. So imagine your experts can actually interactively and visually teach the LLM system, the retrieval system, how to do specific complex tasks. And this allows for a dynamic embedding, and I've talked to many of you about this yesterday at the Product Advisory Council, a dynamic embedding of the knowledge of your experts into the generative AI, C3 Generative AI product. So with that, I want to thank all of you for joining me. Thank you so much for making the time.